Prime Minister Netanyahu. He's 75. He became prime minister, I want to get this right, for the first time in 1996. And he's held all sorts of portfolios, and he's the longest-serving prime minister in the history of Israel. He's sitting down with the president today. Now, I doubt Gadi Moses is a big Netanyahu fan. I don't know that. I'm guessing, just given his background. What do you think of Netanyahu right now and what he's done over the past 16 months since the massacre?
Look, we've talked about this. I have had a lot of criticisms of Netanyahu, of his leadership over the last 16 months, and frankly of his warfighting strategy. I think we delayed a great deal. I think he caved a lot more to Biden administration pressure than he needed to. We were frozen in Gaza for 4 months between February and May of last year. And then when we went in against the Biden administration's explicit demand that we not go into Rafah, nothing happened. In other words, the very same weakness that was shown to Iran, for example, in that administration was also shown to us. And so it was incumbent on my leader to challenge the Americans on that score when they were wrong. The war was dragged out longer than it needed to be. And Netanyahu, I'm starting with the bad stuff because I think there's something very good and important to say at the end. So just bear with me, folks. Netanyahu has led in a way that has convinced a great many Israelis that he's not a leader for this kind of war. This is stuff that's hard to see from outside. It's hard to see if you don't know Hebrew. But for example, Kibbutz Nir Oz was one of the 3 great massacres of October 7. And I think this is something you and I have talked about in the past. They have invited Netanyahu to visit, and it is 16 months, and he has yet to visit. I know a great many Americans, Jews and Christians, who have visited Nir Oz, and Prime Minister Netanyahu isn't willing to have that moment in front of the cameras where the greatest victims of October 7 yell at him because he was the prime minister who oversaw the policies and then oversaw the day of. So there's a politicking there. There's a cowardice there at a moment when everybody needed the exact opposite from his leadership. However, the last 4 months have seen a fundamental shift, partly because of Netanyahu, certainly approved by Netanyahu, partly because of some other hawkish people in government who have been pushing for it, in which Israel finally noticed, remembered its strength, stood up, took the war to the enemy, and fundamentally reshaped the Middle East very, very quickly. And he gets the credit at least for not screwing that up. And I don't mean that sarcastically. A leader who knows a capability his country has and doesn't stand in its way, doesn't torpedo it, doesn't undermine it with bad ideas, bad concepts, bad policy, bad leadership, is the leader you need at a time like this. And so Netanyahu deserves some of the credit, maybe a lot of the credit. And also, I think he's the exact right Israeli leader for this moment with Trump. I can't imagine somebody who actually knows this administration, Republican political culture. These are people he feels deep identification with, policy-wise, ideologically, personally. And with Ron Dermer at his side, Israel is led by genuine experts who know how to have this conversation with the Trump administration and know how to lay Israel's needs in front of the administration in convincing ways. So I have a lot of criticism of him over the last 16 months. I'm glad he's the man meeting the president right now.